everyone, and welcome to round 2 of Hairless Clovers Galore. If we walk through round 2, you'll see that we start by joining our thread between our clover rings. We chain 8 and then head into a thrown clover set. I'm going to use the continuous thread method here. I have 2 reasons for doing this. Firstly, it eliminates one set of tails. I'll only have tails at the end. And secondly, there's no point working with 2 different colours since only one is going to show. Remember that when we work with a thrown ring, we use the working thread for the chain and the ring. You could use the shoelace trick if you really wanted to have 2 colours, but I don't think we need to add that to today's program, especially when I tell you that we're going to be doing Catherine wheel joins. So don't be intimidated by this join. It's a lot of fun to make and I'll walk you through it. Okay, we're going to join our thread to row 2 between the 2nd and 3rd clover rings. We're going to use this joining picot to attach our thread. We're going to use a lock join, so lay your thread across the top of your picot, come up from the bottom, pull your thread down, run your shuttle through that loop. Now you can make your lock join the other way. You can lay your thread underneath and pull the loop up, but for this particular design, I personally prefer the look of my lock join facing this way. Set your hand up for a chain. Now, as I mentioned before, by using the continuous thread method, I don't have tails at the start, but I will have tails to hide when I come back around. So I'm going to put my magic loop in now, meaning it's there ready for me when I come back around at the end. The other thing I want to mention is that we are on the front side of our work. When you work front side, back side, generally rings are worked on the front, chains are worked on the back. So you work your chain stitches in reverse order. That's not the case for round 2. This whole round is worked on the front side. So if you are tatting front side, back side, you'll have to think about your chains and think about working them first half, second half. I automatically go second half, first half with my chains. That's what I'm used to doing. I always work front side, back side. So I have to actually think about it when I need to work it the other way. Okay, we're chaining 8. Now our clover set is the same as when we made a single thrown ring in round 1. The only difference being we're making 3 rings for our clover before finishing out the chain. So after the first half of the chain, drop shuttle 1, take shuttle 2 from your chain setup and set your hand up for the ring. The first ring in our clover set is 8 picot 3. Close your ring, being careful not to pull the ring away from the chain. Now we're not reversing our work, instead turn it slightly to the left and set up for the next ring. Our count is 3 and we're joining back to the previous ring. we have 6, picot 6, picot 3. Close your ring. Turn your work slightly to the left and set up for the third ring in our clover set. We have 3. Join back to the previous ring. And finish with 8. Continuing with the other half of our chain, just like we did in row 1, make that extra half stitch if that is your preference. We're on the front side of our work. I prefer to make my half stitch the first half. Arla prefers the second half. So it comes down to personal preference. Now I like to fold my clover over because that takes the pressure off my chain, and just for that first stitch allows me to get in and pull it up nice and close. So I'm going to open that up. My clover sits very neatly on top of my chain. So we're finishing out our chain. Now we're going to lock join to the joining picot between our first and second clover of round 1. Set your hand back up for your chain again and chain 7. Now our next join is in the middle ring of the clover set of round 1. We're going to make a Catherine wheel join using this centre picot. So I like to refer to this join as incognito join. It's a join, but it has the appearance of a double stitch. Make sure your chain is going to sit nicely up to that picot, which it does. Set your hand up like you're about to make a chain, but leave your working thread reasonably loose. Pass your crochet hook through the picot and under the thread of shuttle 1. Grab a loop from shuttle 2. Make sure it's not twisted. Now if you're not familiar with the Catherine wheel join, it might help to keep the loop and the thread going back to your shuttle separated. It just makes it a little bit easier to work out what thread we need in the next step. Take the shuttle off your finger, pass it up through the loop, Now we want to grab the thread that runs to our shuttle, pull on it until the loop pops through the back of the picot. Pull on this loop. That is going to tighten the previous loop, giving us our first half stitch. So we want to make it sit up against our previous stitches. Take shuttle 2, pass it through the loop, going from front to back, and pull that loop down. This is going to give us the second half of our stitch. And that is our Catherine wheel join. If you need to see this in 2 different colours, it does make it easier to work out what thread is what. I do have a separate video. I'll include the link in the description box. Now we can continue on and chain 7. See, our join looks just like another stitch. Now we join down to the picot on the other side. You're going to join using this picot. Now Hella does say to use the Catherine wheel join in her pattern, but she has also mentioned you could use a lock join if you prefer. It's completely up to you, personal preference. So after you join, chain 8 and then continue to work your way around. Finish back where you started with either the lock join or the Catherine wheel join, whichever one you've decided to use. Cut and hide your tails, and I'll see you back here for round 3.